It is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this evening. The class of 2016 has chosen a member of the MHS faculty who has been one of their most influential teachers to address them this evening. It is with great pleasure that I bring English teacher Mr. J. Sonnenberg to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you very much, 2016. Thank you. I've always wanted to be a performer, be it a comedian, an actor. I would have even settled on a motivational speaker. But I've actually never done anything to achieve that dream. So I'm going to just treat this like it's my first big performance. Let it all hang out. I sold out the Holiday Star. I did it. I did it. And as I'm looking, I see that there's a lot of people out there, roughly 3,500 to be exact. And it is intimidating. But in all reality, if it goes wrong, I've been booed before by about 5 times this amount of people. Bulls versus Pacers, game 3 down in Indy before all Derrick Rose's knee injuries. Sold out arena, and my wife and I had seats in like this special section for the crazy Pacer fans. They were all decked out in their Pacer stuff. We were wearing our Bulls black and red. We were getting booed in pre-game. I looked to my wife and I saw that she was kind of getting freaked out by it. She's never been booed. I've been booed a lot. Every senior faculty game I've ever played in, I'd get booed by 2,000 kids after every air ball I shot. The moral is, no matter how bad this is about to get, I think I can get through it. After being chosen to be your speaker, I immediately went to Mr. Kutz to see how long the speech had to be. He said 10 minutes would be about perfect. So I did what all of you would have done. I wrote a 5-minute speech. I double-spaced it. So for the next 5 to 10 minutes here, you get to watch me sweat, maybe even pass out, as I've never been this nervous as I currently am right now. I mean, I'm just looking at you all. I've seen you change so much over the last 4 years. It seems like just 4 years ago, most of you were Miami Heat fans. Hold on. Then you had your short-lived Cavaliers phase. And now some of you have been lifelong Warriors fans for 2 years. Except for a couple days last week, I bet. But I've got to tell you, you have put me in a very tough spot. Not just by me being up here either. I mean, it is my honor for you. It really is. And since I actually do like most of you, I feel like I have to do a great job. But so many of you have been seeing me in the hallways or in class saying, make it funny, make it funny. Sonny, you gotta be funny. But that's really not me. That's not how I'm funny, I should say. I actually haven't been able to come up with one joke, one put down, nothing clever. Because if you really think about it, have I been funny? I argue no, I haven't. Think about when you were in my class. My humor always came in the form of me being corny, and you laughed at me for years. Not because of those jokes, but because that part I played. So I hate to tell you, you're probably not going to laugh for the next 7 minutes. Well, you won't laugh at the parts that I think might have a little chuckle at least. Instead, this speech is going to hopefully inspire some of you. Maybe it'll remind some of you of some great memory you've had over the last 4 years. Or maybe it'll at least explain why I am how I am. I thought your class did a great job of nominating speakers. I mean, not just me, but the 3 finalists you had it narrowed down to. Coach Past, Coach Hoffman, those are the other 2. 2 great guys and slightly above average teachers. past speech, it would have been very emotional. He'd probably have cried a few times, told you how great you were and other stuff, but it would have taken about an hour longer. What would Coach Hoffman have said? Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. It would have been great, I know that, but he is a wild card and no one has any clue. The good news is he would have finally had to dress like a teacher. No more t-shirts and short shorts. He would have had to buy a collared shirt and maybe even a clip-on tie. The popular belief, and I'm sure most of you are thinking it now, that my wife does all of my work for me. And that may or may not be true. So I'm guessing a few of you out there assume Mrs. Sonnenberg wrote this speech for me. First of all, I wish she had. I'm already starting to feel like it's not that good, so I'd love to give her the credit for this. But no, these 3 minutes so far has been all my stuff. I take credit for it. Speaking of my wife, it's been great having her teach down the hallway from me. Hold on. You see, there's a group of you, mostly male students out there, that have pretty much harassed me for the last 4 years. You pop into my room to talk trash, even if I'm currently teaching. Some of you just flicker the lights on and off. You and your buddies have outnumbered me and come into my class and physically bullied me. But for me, what's been so great is to see how you change when you get within 15 feet of my wife. Oh, how you change. Some of you tough guys shrivel back into the wimps you actually are. That's right. My wife has fought most of my battles for me. And I love watching her do that to you. Some of you big tough guys, you don't even say hi to me when I'm walking with her. And that's been hilarious to me. But really, this has been such a surreal feeling to come to this building in particular, to share the stage with so many great performers that have graced Northwest Indiana with their talent. I saw magician David Copperfield get sawed in half right there. I did. I saw the band Chicago perform here. It was my very first ever concert, and I went with a girl who dumped me 2 months earlier. Yeah. But I am a major cheapskate. I bought the tickets. We were going to that concert. We didn't even like the band. I mean, I was a 16-year-old kid listening to Chicago. No, I didn't even know who they were, but I just thought it'd be a good idea. I saw Sesame Street live here twice. Once as a kid, once as a parent. I dominated the Gus Macker basketball tournament that used to be in the parking lots out here. I was in age divisions much younger than my own, little brother's birth certificate. I sat 4th row right down there a couple of years ago to go see Darius Rucker. That's Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish. 4th row. But most importantly, I was here 19 years ago for my graduation. Yep, I graduated. I did not have to give a speech, though. Shocking, I'm sure. But I was not valedictorian. That was one of the biggest nights of my life, however, but probably not for the reasons you'd assume. One of my valedictorians from the 1997 class, who actually worked here for a year, he worked so hard, just like all valedictorians, salutatorians, graduates do, for so many years. He got to the top of the class of 427 people, and he came right up here, and he gave this exact speech. Well, not this one, but this one I'm about to tell you. He said, "Great job, everyone. We made it, but now let's focus on the important stuff. Bulls versus Jazz, game 1 tonight. Go Bulls." End quote. That's verbatim. I'll never forget that quote. It's perfect. What a speech. And I get his point. Trust me, this is not to take anything away from these two and all of you who have worked so hard. These two especially, valedictorian, salutatorian, that is a special breed of a person. Insanely intelligent. Their work ethics are unparalleled. So trust me, I'm certainly not trivializing anything you two or all of you have done by graduating. You all should be proud. But to think that graduation means that you're done, that just ain't true. Not to bore you one last time with an attempt to teach you one last thing, but if you want to get technical, grad is a Latin root that means step or go. And that's what this is for all of you, a step. It's not the last step either. Shoot, for some of you, you are rounding the corner of your first flight of stairs with 10 more years of climbing to go. To those of you who are done with school for good and you're ready to start working, it's not the last step for you either. You might have to walk the hallways of life for a little bit, but I promise you, there's another staircase waiting for you, and you will find it, and you will climb it, just like you've done for so long now. But I bet there are a few of you who are just like I was. I loved school. Loved it. I did. I loved the daily grind. I loved the mixing it up with the teachers. I used to bully teachers too, just like some of you did to me. Little teachers. So for me, there was really nothing else I was ever going to do. This was it. I knew I'd be a teacher because ever since I was 6 years old over there at Salk Elementary at the end of my kindergarten, Salk, they were giving me a 3-month break. How could I beat that? I couldn't. So I became a teacher. And this is really a continuation of exactly how I was in high school. Heck, I might even be a tad more immature now. Some of you, there we go. For some of you, I know you're so done with school, never coming back. You'll see. It's a bit tougher than that. I mean, think about it. Since kindergarten, school has been your routine. That's 13 years. It is going to be different with this not being the major factor in your life. Parents, help them out. They need it. A lot of them need it. And some of you kids out there, you're like, nah, man, not me. I can't wait to get away from that place. I'm not even going to that Dairy Queen anymore. But every year, as my students are pretending to learn and I'm pretending to teach, I watch out that front window to the main parking lot and I see the recent grads show back up to school within the first 2 weeks of the next school year, pretending they have to get their diploma or some other nonsense. I promise you it will happen. You're gonna miss it. Shoot, I counted 6 times this year when a recent grad and current Michigan State basketball player showed up. 6 times. The girl drove 5 hours, 6 different times this year just to show up for literally no reason other than she missed this place. And I'll tell you one other thing you're gonna miss. There he is, Mr. Kutz. For the 13 years, I think it's 12, but for the 13 years I've known him, each time our school earns its A grade, or when he won Indiana's Principal of the Year award during your sophomore year, he is quick to praise the students and the teachers as the reason for all that success. He never once bragged or even allowed us to tell him how great he was. He immediately talked about how none of the accolades would have been possible without us, the students and the teachers. Well, he doesn't have a microphone in his hands right now, so I think it's about time I give him his due praise. Whereas I've been known to kind of tell people how it is or attempt to bring people back to reality and tell kids flat out that they might be dreaming a tad too big, Mr. Kutz would never do that. His message has always been that you could do whatever it is you want. And as he told you during that surprise celebration we had for him in the gymnasium, don't ever let anyone tell you you can't. And those aren't empty words coming from him. He means it. He truly believes that, and he has truly wanted that for each one of you. Just this semester, actually, I watched a student who was returning from night school. I was in the hallway. Kutz didn't know I was there. I was hiding. And this kid went up to Kutz, and he tried to apologize for whatever it was that got him placed in alternative school. Kutz kind of cut him off a little bit and let him know that the apology wasn't necessary. He's not thinking about that anymore. He told the kid that there was no hard feelings and that he just wanted him to remember his actions and work hard on not repeating them. He treats us teachers in the same way he treated you these last 4 years, and that's a great thing. I'm very fortunate to have worked for him since the start of his stint as head principal, and I promise you that you have been extremely lucky to have him as your principal. And yes, it's true, you won't have to listen to any of those sayings, some of them you've already heard here on stage, that he has said repeatedly these last 4 years, but you will find yourself using those lines down the road when you become parents many, many years from now. The go-to line that my wife can't wait to use on our children is the classic split-second decisions. Oh, you guys haven't heard it? It didn't sound like have long-lasting effects. Let me tell you, he repeats it because it's true. You're going to use it down the road, that line, and your kids are going to roll their eyes after you've said it hundreds of times, but they're going to roll their eyes anyway, so you might as well say something that is true. In short, Kutz is the man, and he really set a great atmosphere for both students and teachers alike. So, as I wrap this speech up, some of you will notice that I kind of just told 6 random stories and I haven't had a big message. Well, that's kind of been my style since I've known you. I ran a strict classroom. I made you follow a packet of classroom rules that had more rules than your pirate planners did. But I also listened to you and I talked to you. I listened about your siblings. I listened about your One Direction concerts or whoever you liked. I listened to where you worked and what you did there, where you were from, about your parents. I talked to you about your interests, be it sports, video games, the card game Magic. It didn't matter. I'll talk to you about it. Actually, some of you I probably talked to as you were just trying to get by me to get to your next class. And I guess that is my message. I know that some previous graduation speakers use this time as a platform to inform or persuade or just enlighten you on some current and important topic. But I don't really stand for anything real big or promote any of the big things. I don't really have a huge agenda. But my advice is always that you can live a happy life just by listening and treating each person that you meet that they're just as good as you are. Give people the time and attention they deserve when you're talking to them, even if it's a cashier at Walgreens. Just look in their eyes and talk to them. Take pride in your profession when you figure it out. Enjoy what you're doing and get really good at it. It makes living happy a lot easier to do. And all of you who've asked for shout outs, so many of you have, and multiples just won't stop. I can't really do that, but just know I do think highly of all of you. And congratulations, seniors.